Hi, everyone. Welcome to our webinar today. My name is Terry Mock, and I'm the Chief Operating Officer here at Cyber. I'll be your host for today's webinar titled 4 Tips to Optimize Facebook for Reach and Conversion. Let me start with a question. What are the top 3 social media networks? Well, obviously the answer must be Facebook as one of them. That's why we're having this session. But it's Facebook, YouTube, and WhatsApp. Facebook clearly dominates. They have over 2.38 billion monthly active users, and it's growing 8% year over year. So we know that clearly Facebook is woven into the fabric of our lives. And as brands and advertisers, we want to be where our customers are. So we need to be on Facebook. Now, if you're not advertising on Facebook, you should definitely be thinking about it. And if you are already advertising on Facebook, you should think about how to optimize your campaigns and how to maximize your return on ad spend. And this is what this session is all about. Now, before we get started, let me cover a few housekeeping items. If you're tweeting with us, tweet using the handle @CyberInc and the hashtag OptimizeFacebook. We will also have questions at the end of the webinar, so please submit your questions in the chat box available on your screen. And then finally, we are recording this webinar and we will make this session available for you later for sharing and playback. Well, let me introduce our speakers. I have with me both Nicolette and Chelsea. Hi, Nicolette and Chelsea.
Hi. Hey, Terry.
Nicolette Deneen, she's a senior media manager at Cyber. She's our industry expert in Facebook and all things media related. She also manages our Phoenix office. Nicolette spends her time strategizing, implementing, analyzing digital media campaigns, and this includes work across all different verticals, including CPG, higher ed, and e-commerce. She's worked in the media industry for over 5 years, and Nicolette is active on the IABC Phoenix Board of Directors. We also have Chelsea Clement. Chelsea is Senior Account Manager at Cyber. She has over 7 years of digital experience and manages our top enterprise accounts. These cover multiple sectors: retail, education, and e-commerce. Her team runs a wide array of strategic campaigns. They're targeted to drive qualified traffic, increase engagement, and achieve and overachieve on client expectations. Chelsea has deep insights into optimizing media campaigns across digital channels, and we'll hear from both of them today. As for our agenda, we'll be discussing master tips to increase reach, effectiveness, and profitability of your Facebook campaigns. We'll be sharing some of the tips from the hundreds and hundreds of campaigns we've been running with our clients. We're going to get started just with a few words on the state of paid social, and then really get to the heart of the session today, which is on optimization tips. We will cover strategic campaign and audience setup, intelligent tracking, smart creatives, and robust testing. And some of you might have heard and are quite aware of the upcoming changes to Facebook. We'll spend a couple of minutes discussing those and wrap up the session with key takeaways. Of course, as you have questions throughout the session, please put them into the question panel. Well, we're going to get started by taking an audience poll. You see the question on your screen. We just wanted to get a sense of where you are running your paid social today. So please feel free to click all the platforms that apply: Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Twitter, Reddit, or I guess none of the above. Good to see the participation amongst our audience. Okay, well, clearly Facebook is on top, as we expect, and this session is geared for you. But if you're on some of the other social media networks, we can cover those at a later time. But Facebook is the gorilla, the big gorilla out there. In terms of Facebook and its status today, we know that it dominates the industry. I read one stat which says that if you're between 18 and 24, 50% of you, as soon as you get up, are checking your Facebook feed, seeing what's going on with friends. So we know it's really woven into everyone's lives. But of the people that are on social media, 1.56 billion are daily active Facebook users, 2.38 billion are active monthly users. So clearly, we need to be engaged where our clients are. So I'm going to, ask Chelsea to get us started in terms of what she sees in running Facebook ads for various customers.
Yeah, thanks, Terry. So Facebook is a great way to boost revenue across the board. We find it is one of the most successful platforms when trying to drive as much return on ad spend as well as conversion. Really, the first step is setting up that campaign goal on paid social. And one of the most common goals that we see from retail and e-commerce clients is the conversion rate. Facebook's average conversion rate across all industries is a 9.21%. So that's really high when comparing to other channels like display, even SEM, which leads us into our next poll.
Right. So on our next poll, we're going to ask, what is your main campaign goal through Facebook? Please click all that apply. Brand awareness, web traffic, lead generation, conversion, store visits, or none of the above. We're getting all the responses in. Okay, they're still coming in. That's great. Okay, so we see that 78% of you use conversion goals, and then there's a tie for the second between brand awareness and lead generation. I think no matter which goals, and it's important which goals, but no matter which goals you set, it's quite important to know how to set up your campaigns effectively. And Nicola is going to walk us through effective campaign setups.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Terry. So the first step in really having a successful campaign across the board is how you set it up. And then the first step in that process is really choosing that goal, which it looks like a lot of you are choosing the conversion goal. Here at Cybo, we take a holistic approach to making sure that we're really reaching the customers on every level of that sales funnel. So we run brand awareness, web traffic, emails collected through lead gen, and then really driving that return on ad spend through conversion. And that all ties back to what audiences are you mixing with those goals. Our favorites here are the custom audiences. So we use a mixture of lookalike and retargeting. We do that through customer or CRM files, website traffic, or even app activity. And then another one of our favorites is if they engage, we want to definitely make sure we're reaching your loyal customers too. And let's take a look at some of our examples on how we like to set up our campaigns. So everything we do ties back to that one ad account. And like I said, we create a holistic approach from that. So we have multiple campaigns, and we make sure that the goals correlate to the ad set level with the targeting there. From there, we really implement those creatives. And I think the biggest thing is we like to always A/B test, so running those split tests. So we're looking at, running demographic versus geographic targeting, layering on those creatives so that they match that targeting and that goal as well.
Yeah, and Nicola, I actually have a really good example here. And we have one of our e-com clients where we break out the campaign with two main goals. So objective one would be website traffic to build the brand awareness for their paleo and keto products. And then the objective two would be the website purchases. where we're driving that return on ad spend and maximizing on sales. And we see about a 3-to-1 on return on ad spend there. So I think it's super important to have these multiple objectives to reach that main KPI.
Definitely, yeah. And I think when we're talking about objectives and tracking, that actually leads us to our next tip with intelligent tracking. So we want to make sure, like Chelsea stated, with following that user through the full holistic sales funnel, that we're tracking it accordingly. Facebook in the last 12 months has really perfected their pixel implementation and the events that you're able to segment out. And that is by industry even. So that's something that we've been utilizing a lot here at Cyba. So across different verticals, whether it be B2B, retail, travel, we're able to really capture those events for each one of those different funnels. And let's look at an example. So here we have an example of e-commerce and retail, and you can see that you're really able to not only track the conversions, but you can track specific pages that they're going to, whether or not they're adding things to their wish list, following them through adding to cart. And then even if you have brick and mortar, you're able to track them back into the store, which is one of our favorite optimization goals as well. Chelsea, I think you have an example of this too.
Yeah, so actually this works really well with our education clients too, because a lot of times we'll see that they'll look to track RFIs, requests for information, but then also low funnel, they'll look to get that application. So we have an online school where we do this to pixel both KPIs. Again, one being the lead, which is that request for information form, and then also a low funnel conversion, which would be the application. So I think tying back these alternative goals is really key.
Definitely, yeah. And I think that if you haven't spent a lot of time on the Pixel page or the analytics with your Pixel, I highly encourage that you do that.
Well, okay, that's great to get a perspective on campaign setup and also on the tracking behind the metrics and your goals. So I think the next thing that really comes to mind as we set up campaigns is the ad placements. So let's talk a little bit about smart creatives. Now, which creative placement do you utilize the most? The ones that we have up on our right-hand rail, newsfeed, stories, or other. There are other placements available too. So would love to hear from you. Okay, let's see. Folks are still coming in. Okay, well, we see from our audience that news feeds are predominant, with a few doing right-hand rail and stories. Is that the kind of, placements that you've seen, Chelsea?
Yeah, so actually newsfeed is pretty common. I think really the creative is so important because there's definitely some creative formats that we find most effective. Number one would be video. So video we see they do have the highest engagement rate, but we like to also tie in a very short film, which would be anywhere from 6 to 15 seconds. Shorter the better. We also see, again, really high engagement rates. A lot of times clients won't have the bandwidth or they don't have the video assets in order to use this type of video and video ad creative. So we also use the concept of a slideshow, which is 3 to 4 photos that interchange within the one ad. Really good and high engagement rates there. So I think another thing to point out is the actual placement. So we don't want to just use one ad across multiple placements. We want to make sure and optimize each ad set for the individual spots that we're having the ad serve. So here are a few options that we have used: feed, right-hand rail, and story ads. Another thing to really also go over is the fact that we see about a 30% increase in CTR when we're strategically placing ads across these multiple formats. And then also, I think we want to share the A/B testing is super important. And Facebook has actually rolled out a new ad size where we actually want to show a few examples here on this next slide. So these are a few creatives that we have built out in-house. The first ad on the left is our carousel ad that is best to showcase different products, really good for retail brands or even e-commerce brands. The one on the right here is the new square ad size. It's a 9:16, which is also the same size that we use on Instagram. So Facebook has allowed this form of ad, and it really does aesthetically show the image very clear, and it allows for more room on the creative. So another thing too is we want to limit the amount of creatives that we're using in our campaigns. You know, sometimes when we highly segment out multiple sets of creative, it does hinder performance. So we always look at CTRs and also the conversion rates to make sure that these are performing. Nicolette, do you want to touch on stories?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it looks like about 8% of you guys were experimenting with stories, and like Chelsea said, we've been doing a lot of segmenting on the story ads, and we do see that 30% CTR. I definitely think that's something that I encourage everyone to expand upon, and it really looks a lot better when you're looking at the creative aspects.
Okay, thanks. It seems like ad format and placements are certainly key in driving performance for Facebook ads. Well, how do we test these? It'd be good to get a bit into the robust testing capabilities in Facebook. Can you speak to that, Nicolette?
Yeah, definitely. So this is something that Facebook has also been working a lot on in the last year. We have always been able to really test across the campaign level, the ad set level, or even the creative level. And when we create those are those split tests or A/B tests, and we're able to test single variables there. But something that we've been experimenting a lot with here at Cyba is our lift studies. So what this is you're able to test across your entire advertiser and account instead of just on those more granular levels. And you're able to see a conversion lift or a brand lift. So here's an example of a brand lift, and you can see it says that our ads have caused a 23.8 point increase in brand lift for Tina's Tacos. And then there's a greater than 99.9% chance that that is due to our Facebook ads. So that 99.9 is what we call a confidence percent, and that as long as it's above 80, you know that your ads are successful. So this is something that we've been utilizing to really show that lift in either conversions or brand awareness for our clients.
Well, that's an exciting new development in terms of these lift tests and the ability to test across all the campaigns for an advertiser. Well, I think it's time to actually pull everything all together and see how you've been able to help a given brand with their overall strategy on paid social. Do you have an example of that?
Yeah, definitely. So here we'd like to highlight one of our favorite clients, American Leadership Academy, who has 13 campuses in the Arizona area. And what we do for them is we really focus on driving enrollments for those 13 charter schools. And we do this through a mixture of targeting and goals, like we talked about at the beginning of the webinar. So we run web traffic, we increase their brand awareness, we do one-click leads, and then we really encourage those tour requests is what we call them, or leads. And we do this through various targeting, so demographic, geographic, a lot of those lookalike audiences that we also touched on, and our results have been really great for them.
Yeah, they really have. We've seen 205 website leads this year. What we consider a lead for this client is someone that lands on the website, they fill out their schedule a tour form. So 205 is really a good volume of leads that we have been able to convert. As for CTR, the industry average on Facebook for education is a 0.9%, and for ALA we have a 1.53%. So definitely getting some really good click-through rates on multiple sets of these ads. The results are really produced from some of our campaign targeting that Nicolette had mentioned, but also a big piece is the creative. So you'll see on the right here, the creative is really honed in on the school's demographic. I love how they use emojis in the copy too. It's very native. I think the slideshow and video assets really work well for this charter school.
Yeah, thanks. These are some of our favorite creators from our various customers, and they're terrific. And then just to move on, we've heard a lot about upcoming changes. In fact, sometimes they come as we log in and we notice that there are some changes to the Facebook UI, but there's certainly announced upcoming changes. Can you walk us through the changes and what some of those implications are?
Yeah, definitely. So one of the changes coming is more placement. So right now we've talked a lot about newsfeed, we've talked about right-hand rail, and Facebook is constantly working on monetizing their platform, which for us advertisers is good because it means more inventory for us to serve on. Some of those placements that they're adding are actually on the Instagram platform within the Explore page. I think that it's important that Facebook treads lightly because they don't want to have too many ads across Instagram to where users stop using the platform, but it definitely is exciting that there will be new ad formats coming out. And then the other thing is augmented reality ads. This is something that they've been talking about for, I think, about a year, and a lot of bigger companies have been testing this, such as Sephora. And what it is you get served an ad, and you're able to actually interact with that ad. So you're able to take a picture of your face and then try on lipsticks from Sephora to see how they work. So it's something really exciting. We're looking forward to that being rolled out across the board here in the coming future. But the biggest change that we want to talk about is the ad set budget change coming in September. So some of you probably are aware of this one, but moving forward, you won't be able to set your budget on the ad set level. You will only be able to set it on the campaign level, which means it will auto-optimize between your ad sets and your targeting options. With that, there's a lot of nuances that our team is exploring, and we're really excited to test and see what this will do for our performance.
Great. Well, thanks for just that for the changes to come. There seems to be a lot of things to keep track of as Facebook continues to make optimizations to their algorithms and additional placements. So stay tuned in terms of these changes, and if you ever need any support or help in terms of your campaigns, please feel free to reach out to us on the cyber team. I want to kind of wrap up in terms of our session today with some key takeaways. We know that Facebook dominates the industry, but if you think about it this way, of all the people that use the internet, this is excluding China, of course, 85% of them are on Facebook. So that's a pretty significant number. And so clearly Facebook is a powerful advertising tool. In addition, when we've spoken about campaign setup, we talked about setting clear objectives and then targeting your audience clearly. And as you do that, you should monitor your campaigns with tracking and analytics and testing, with robust testing. And then finally, ad creatives and their placements and formats are certainly very key to engaging audiences. So identifying optimum size and location would be great. And just know that with the changes, what worked in the past may not continue to work. You got to always be staying on top of things that are going on. So with that, I think that it's been a great session on Facebook and optimization strategies. I want to get to some of the questions that have come in from our audience at this time. So feel free to be, sending those in. Okay, we have an attendee who has a yoga apparel company, and they're looking to maximize revenue for the fall. What would you suggest is the best targeting tactic to maximize their sales? Can we have, I don't know, Chelsea, or, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll take it, Terry. So since you want to maximize revenue for the fall, we highly recommend that you start advertising at least 2 months before the season. We want to also look at a few objectives. So we want to mix up, one, making sure we're growing brand awareness for, your yoga company to push customers down the funnel of your site. From there, we want to utilize even a lower funnel goal, which would be driving conversions, whether it's to schedule, your free demo class or maybe it's actually, selling into some of those apparel and clothing items, which would then maximize your return on ad spend.
Great. Okay, we have a whole bunch of questions, which is quite exciting. So I'm going to keep going. We have a question coming in. How much of my paid advertising budget should I allocate to Facebook versus display ads or search SEM?
Yeah, this is a great question. Unfortunately, there is not a correct answer. It really depends on the brand. So here at Cybo, we actually create custom media plans for each brand because we want to make sure that we're identifying that brand's needs and then allocating budget to really drive the highest return on ad spend that we possibly can.
Okay, great, thanks for that. And again, if there's anything we could do to help you at Cybo, just let us know. Okay, next is, this is a question on the upcoming changes. With the ad set budget changes, how do you allocate budget for a brand that has multiple locations?
Yeah, this is another great question. So if you have your locations set at a specific budget for those on the ad set level, it's going to be a little bit difficult because you're going to either have to move those to the campaign level, or you're going to have to, what I suggest is actually testing the new option and seeing if you actually are able to lower your CPA by not sticking to that static budget by market location, but letting it be more fluid and seeing if the programmatic machine learning algorithm that Facebook has implemented on the campaign level will actually drive a lower CPA for you. But it's definitely something that our team is working on, so reach out with any questions on that.
Okay, and we're just going to keep going because we have a few more minutes. A question came in. Do you get involved with the Facebook Business Manager and loading email addresses for more segmented targeting? Very specific question here. If so, what does Facebook do with the email addresses?
Yeah, so that's one of our favorite targeting segments that we can utilize. So we actually take that list. It has to be 100 emails. And we load it into Facebook, and from there we're able to match it to users on the Facebook app or Instagram app and retarget them, or we're also able to look at those like characteristics and spin it out into a lookalike audience. So there's really a lot we can do with that customer list.
Okay. Here's another one. Oops, it's going. Okay. Can we leverage Facebook for a big B2B technology company?
Yeah, that's a great one. We get asked this a lot, and yeah, there's a lot of ways that we can actually leverage it, and we have a few of them, but it's a great way to drive leads. We actually A/B test a lot of B2B versus on LinkedIn versus Facebook, and what we found is you can actually drive some pretty high quality leads at a cheaper cost than you would on LinkedIn. So there's definitely options to explore there.
Yeah, and I think one that ties into an actual client is the one-click lead gen. Works very well in setting that demo for the technology company, or if there's an actual purchase being made or subscription being made. The one-click lead gen, we do see a really good volume.
Yeah, and the great thing about Facebook is so many people are active on that platform that they are implementing their job title, they're updating their profile, so we're able to really reach those decision makers within those companies too.
Okay, well, we actually have a bunch more questions, but we're running out of time, and I want to respect that. So thank you for all your questions. We will respond to them separately to those that have asked those questions. But I want to bring your attention to our next session in our series on digital advertising, the do's and don'ts of high impact ad creatives. So as you know, creatives is the primary means of engaging with audiences. So August 21st, 1 p.m., mark and save that date. Finally, just want to thank Nicolette, thank you, Chelsea, and thank you to our audience for their time today. Please continue the conversation with us. You can tweet with us at Cybo Inc. or send us an email marketing@cyber.com. Thank you again.